Hello everyone, Xile Grayson here. So this is something that I swore I would never do, but I did, and I've sort of found a loophole. So as you can see, the footage right in the background is Call of Duty Zombies. It's not actually Call of Duty Zombies, it's a fan-made game called Project Aether, and it's got pretty much like all some of the classic maps from like Nacht, Darice, Verrucht, Kino, Shinonuma. It's got Buried, which has got a funny Easter egg because some of the Easter eggs aren't even in there. So the one who I forgot the guy's called, he basically just says he's on sabbatical, honey, which is quite funny. But it's got all the weapons. It's even got weapons from like, is it Future Warfare that was cancelled? It's got some of the weapons from that, and it's you get more customization. You know, I can choose which character I want to play as. I can choose the weapons that I have in the mystery box, and you can pick your starter weapon. You can even pick the camo for it, and it's got like a whole like. It's basically got it's more customizable. Like you can create what type of Call of Duty Zombies experience that you want. But the reason why I've made this video is I swore I wouldn't look into the new Zombies storyline, but I heard, oh, the last map is coming out for the next few years, and so I was watching people trying to crack the Easter egg, and from what I saw, I was not impressed with Call of Duty Zombies. Like, it has not impressed me since Cold War. I stopped playing Call of Duty back when the first season of Black Ops 6 was revealed, and since then I've not looked back until now. And when I was watching it, I suddenly heard that a Chinese group had cheated and the cutscene was out in the open. And I watched the cutscene and I was right. It wasn't worth the time of day, and honestly, if I was actor shit right now, I'd fire whoever's writing the storyline. But knowing them, they are probably using an AI to write the story. Now, I'm gonna be blunt. I do use AI. I mean, look at the Halloween look that we got for the thing. I've changed the look for Halloween. But surely, if you're ever working on AI, you still need to put a good prompt. And if you put in a shit prompt, then seriously, it's going to be crap. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and they asked me, and they said, "How would you, if you was in control of Call of Duty, what would you do?" And I said, simple. Cold War set it up to be a banger of a sequel. Like, we were going to get something cool. At the end of The Forsaken, obviously we had the reveal that the director was Eddie of obviously it was the worst kept secret, but we bleed knew, but it was still worth the payoff. And Samantha had been locked in the machine with the Forsaken, and Requiem had been court-martialed, and Richtofen was using it to get Samantha, and now he's got her. He walks away, and then we have the cutscene of Liberty Falls, the first intro cutscene, and it looked really cool. We learned about like Richtofen having what happened to his family. We learned as well that Sam was breaking out, and there was dimensional tears happening around the facility, and it looked really cool. And even the machine looked a lot like the prison, and it was saying like, you're not gonna get out, and he's like, she goes, "But I already am." And the way that the purple fog was happening, it was like she'd broken out, like Samantha had broken out. And turns out, no, she hadn't. Samantha had been dead long before, and it was all AI, which is quite funny, the fact that Call of Duty, or the developers of Call of Duty, are saying the AI is the villains when they're using it. But anyway, that's besides the point. And the storyline has just got worse and worse and worse ever since. And I was like, seriously, you had something great with Cold War. So while the conversation led to something like, well, what would you do? I basically said, this is the idea that I've got. And I wrote it all into the AI to break it down as a HTML file. So in the description, you will be seeing the HTML file so you can see a breakdown roughly what it is. I'll even put screen captions of the prompt that I put so you can see that I wrote a lot of it. I didn't literally use the AI to generate the storyline because the stuff that it was generating was shit. So I basically said, now how about this? But let me explain to you what the storyline, how I would take Call of Duty, what I would have done had Call of Duty had left off from Cold War. So obviously Sam is in the Aether machine with the Forsaken. The idea that I had was obviously they'd be fighting. In a way, it would be very similar to the Far Cry. They'd be fighting each other, and sooner or later one would cave and one would either fall in line or be destroyed. And Samantha being, a child of the Dark Aether, and she being she's grown up with the Aether and all these different things, I thought she would be the most powerful. Obviously, there's also the evil version of Samantha. So I thought, how about she is corrupted? The evil version of herself comes to the surface, and she not only destroys the Forsaken, she absorbs his power enough to get her out of the prison. Now, the reason why I made this decision is because of the song Lost. Because in Lost, it sounds like she doesn't know where she is, and she's forgetting people, and she's trying not to show that her evil. Right? So I thought that's cool. Like, obviously, she was the villain for the first few games. So of course that evil side's going to come to the surface again sooner or later. So that's what happens. She basically, we have that cutscene where it's Richtofen saying, "You will not get out of here," and then she goes, "But I already have." But it wouldn't be in Liberty Falls. No. The facility would be in an asylum. And while this is going on, a unnamed doctor from Group 601, which was an old group, which I've always wondered who they were, and I honestly think that's the best course of action to get the storyline back on track. So this unknown doctor, he's got like his old equipment, and he's picking up transmissions, and it's of Samantha, her evil version, laughing. He gets a group together of different individuals. It could be SAS, it could be CIA, KGB, it could be anybody. You could even use your operators if you wanted to. And they go to the town. And the town is abandoned because the zombies are running around. And the point of that map is you would fight through the town, and then the hills would be no man's land. That's where you have constant running zombies. There wouldn't be round based. It will literally be you either go back to get back to the rounds, or you finally get your way up the mountain, up the top of that hill to get to the asylum. And once you're in the asylum, the rounds continue. And the asylum is Verrucht. It is an expanded map of Verrucht. It's changed a bit, and you'll be able to go to different areas that we couldn't go before with Verrucht. So you can go to the top of that corner tower, which I've always wondered what was in there. You can go underground, and underground would be where they have contained Samantha. And you try and get her back into that machine. At the same time, something's happening. Now, the pack-a-punch, the perks, the chalk drawings, the power-ups, mystery box, all of that would not be done because of Samantha. You'll hear voices. So when you get like pack-a-punch, you'll hear something saying, "Hope this helps." If you get like insta-kill, when you hear the insta-kill, it will sound like someone else. These voices will sound very familiar, and going like, okay, I recognize these voices. Because there's a reason. Because I've always felt like, why is the villain giving you those power-ups? So this changes that. You try and contain Samantha, but she gets out and she escapes. Eddie is just virtually beaten. He's still alive, and he goes, "I know where she's going to go next," and it's Doris. And what you find out is Samantha has broken out of the prison. She is literally trying to get her dad back, and Sophia, not the robot, the fucking human, because I was sick to death of these fucking robots. So it's them two. She's trying to get back from the dark ether. At the same time, those voices you're hearing one of them saying, "We're holding them back, but if she opens up the portal, there's nothing we can do." And it's like, okay, who's in the dark ether fighting on our side? Then we get to Doris. And in Doris is obviously where all the old machines are. She's trying to use the machines because she found out that it was used for time, obviously because of what happened with Kino. And she thinks she can replicate the thing. But turns out she can't. But there is something that could work. This fight leads with Eddie dying. He dies in the machine on the platform where Sam has killed him. And the entities inside the dark ether, one of them is furious, and he was going, "I want to build a weapon that will help you kill that little bitch." And then next thing you know, the doctor, the unnamed doctor, reveals himself and says, "We've got to go back to my office. I think I know where the map is, where the next machine could be." You go to that office and it's Dr. Porter's office. And that's where we find out that he is, of course, Dr. Porter, the one who built the ray gun, the one who made the Mark II. And they find out that the place she's going is Paris. She's going to the Eiffel Tower because the Eiffel Tower was built as a beacon. It was built to absorb souls. It's a bigger version of the MPD machine. So you go there and Paris is completely overrun with zombies. It is cracking at the floor. The dark ether's breaking through, and she has killed a lot of people, and she's absorbed their souls, and she's filling it in the Eiffel Tower. And that's where suddenly your White Knights of the Dark Ether reveal themselves. Edward Richtofen has created a new version of his weapon, the Wunderwaffe DG2. He has now changed it and built it from the scraps of a trench gun, the Winchester shotgun that you got from World at War. And it is a beast of a weapon. And you use that, and it's used to beat Samantha. What we find out is those who were sending these transmissions, those who were giving you the power-ups, the perks, the chalk drawings, all of it was Victor's. It was the original crew. They somehow had survived. The Dark Ether hadn't killed them. They just survived. And it turns out that all the different versions of them have combined into one version. So that's Primus and Victor's and this new whatever fuck thing you want to call it. They've all been combined. And they are... But obviously, they're still 4 individuals, but it's got all the different versions in that essence. So there's 4 different versions of Richtofen, 4 different versions of Takeo, 4 different versions of Nikolai, and 4 different versions of Tank. And in the end, you fight her, you try and beat her, and in the end, Ravenoff appears out of nowhere, and he calls to Samantha, and Samantha suddenly realises what she's doing. The dark side of her has taken control, and she can't control herself, and she's saying, "Help me." So you, Ravenoff, and Victor's fight and beat her to the point where she can't fight back anymore. And the Victor's crew suddenly comes out of the dark ether with an artifact, and they pull the evil version of Samantha from her body. And also, it leaves a side effect to Samantha. She's no longer powerful. She's just a pure human. And Ravenoff, the reason why she'd done that was because Ravenoff said one thing: let the past die so we can build the future. Obviously leading up to Ava. And so in the end, they destroy the Eiffel Tower, destroy the MPD, and the Victor's crew basically say that they're going to go back into the Dark Ether because there's a huge army coming, which is just the Nazi zombies, them all coming, and they're going to spend the eternity fighting them off, and then going to destroy every single portal that is possible to get it back to this world. And one last thing appears from the Dark Ether. A dog, a puppy. It's fluffy and it's not afflicted by the Dark Aether. So Sam, Reverenoff, and Fluffy go their own way. Porter and the crew decide we need to destroy every single trace of Element 115, Group 935, Group 601. And then the Victor's crew says, you do that and we'll destroy everything over here. So we'll make sure that this never happens again. And that's it. End of story. It sets everything up. It ties the loopholes together. It even goes back to things that we have missed. So honestly, I think that would have been a better ending. But like I said, I'm only one person, and I use the AI just to break it down into a document for you. So if you want to see the prompt, I'll show you the prompt. But anyway, as always, please like, comment, subscribe, follow the link in the description. That takes to all our social media platforms. I'm not going to play Call of Duty ever again. Modern Warfare 4, I don't even care. I've just been enjoying other games, and yeah, I'm making my own game, which is quite fun. Especially when there's a certain place I'm building, which I've enjoyed working on. So yes. Till then, stay safe. That's it.